Hey guys, so before I start the video, I just want to say that I now have a new website called beyondthepowers.co.uk. It focuses on policing, human rights law and law in general. I post articles on there, I post videos on there, and if you want to support that in any way or the work on this channel where I do interviews and things like that, you can do so by making a one-off donation to PayPal or a more regular donation through also PayPal and Subscribestar and Patreon. And if you want to follow me on social media, the links to that are below as well. Basically everything's in the description. So yeah, thank you for watching and thank you for checking out the website, and I hope you enjoy. Hey guys, so today we're going to talk about some events that have happened since the release of the Oldham Report. So the Oldham Report is a report that investigated child sexual exploitation in Oldham. Now this was released a few months ago. In June there was an extraordinary council meeting, and then on the 13th of July there was another meeting in which the Failsworth Independent Party tabled a motion calling for a full public inquiry. This was amended by the Labour Party, and it removed the section calling for the public inquiry, which was later approved, so it's essentially quashed any hopes of achieving a public inquiry through this route. Now, for many years, people have been accusing not just Greater Manchester Police, Oldham Council, social services in that area of covering up the grooming, but people have been doing so nationally, and many documentaries, many reports have come out which support those allegations. Interestingly, in the Oldham Report, they could not stress enough high-profile individuals such as Stephen Watson, Amanda Chatterton, etc., that it was not a cover-up. It was not a cover-up. There was no finding of a cover-up.
We've been provided with no evidence to support the allegations circulated on social media to suggest that senior managers or counsellors sought to cover up either the existence of child sexual exploitation in Oldham or the complexity involved in tackling the perpetrators.
The report quite clearly states there was no cover-up.
Has found no evidence that CSE was covered up in Oldham.
Perceived cover-up between Oldham Council and Greater Manchester Police, but it absolutely puts to bed that no politician and no officer of Greater Manchester Police or officer of the council was involved in any kind of cover-up, and it does read like a cover-up.
The report states very clearly there was no cover-up of CSE by the...
In fact, there was only failings. Shock horror, a public authority investigates a public authority and it finds no evidence of wrongdoing. Who would have ever thought that? They would rather give token findings of negligence than admit to covering up these crimes, because quite frankly it's better to be incompetent than it is to be evil, which you would have to be to cover up such crimes. So how have they responded since all of this? How have they responded since the report? How have they responded since they've seen the public's anger? How have they responded since the likes of the Operation Augusta report, in which it clearly states that Greater Manchester Police and social services knew the extent of the crimes, the names of the offenders and their addresses, but they actually purposely chose not to pursue these crimes and instructed those beneath them not to do so as well? Well, they've done so by putting up or leaving up quite literal screens between themselves and the public. Amanda Chatterton goes on to talk about how grooming hasn't ruined certain people's lives, so you can't always say that it ruins lives.
Since the publication of that report 2 weeks ago, I've spoke to a number of victims, and they came forward and ran me that week. The victims that were referenced in the report, but also other victims of CSE in Oldham, and speaking to those people and how it has affected their lives, and you can't say it's destroyed their lives, because the people I spoke to, it hasn't, but it has had an impact into adulthood on a number of things.
And now they've responded by accusing at least 3 attendees of the council meeting of engaging in antisocial behaviour, banning them for 12 months, threatening them with court orders, injunctions, and reporting them to Greater Manchester Police. Now, people keep referring to these letters as ASBOs. I've seen lots of people talking about ASBOs. I've seen GB News referring to ASBOs. We don't have ASBOs here anymore. We haven't done for nearly a decade. They still use them in Scotland. We now have CPNs, civil injunctions, and CBOs. So in these letters, they warn the residents under the Anti-Social Behaviour Crime and Policing Act 2014. And they also, in this letter, threaten them with an injunction, highlighting that a court can make any order it wishes to make using its discretion under the civil procedure rules, and that they may make an order to ban them forever, which sounds more like they're saying that's the order that they would seek. So I'm now going to read the letter to you, but I will put a timestamp below if you want to fast forward. During the full council meeting on the 27th of June and the 13th of July, which we are aware you attended one or both of, there were significant concerns raised regarding the behaviour of some individuals present. These behaviours included, but were not limited to, verbal abuse and foul language directed to elected members and local authority staff, threatening and aggressive behaviour towards elected members and local authority staff, disruptive behaviour including preventing individuals from answering questions or providing statements to the meeting by constantly shouting over them, thereby reducing the effectiveness of the meeting, preventing it from being run in a fair and democratic manner. Throwing of missiles during the meeting. You were identified as engaging in the following behaviour: intentionally or recklessly causing a public nuisance, interfering with the fire safety alarm system, verbally abusing staff, including stating to a staff member that they were a bastard, a twat, a fucking waste of space. Also, you stated, quote, "You are just like the other wankers in this room. Time you are all culled, as you do not deserve jobs working here," end quote. The local authority welcomes and encourages the attendance of residents at public authority meetings. We recognise that residents' input and involvement is an essential part of improving the borough, making it a stronger, safer and more desirable place to live, work and visit. However, the involvement of residents in the democratic process must be conducted in the correct manner, with the appropriate behaviour being exhibited by all attendees, and that the process set in place to ensure that the meeting is run in a safe, fair, transparent and effective manner must be observed and adhered to. We must be clear that the unacceptable behaviour of any kind, including that outlined above, cannot be allowed to continue and will not be tolerated. Any person entering local authority premises, including the council chamber, does so with the consent of the local authority. You should be aware that the local authority has the legal power to withdraw consent to enter from any persons who are acting or who have acted in an antisocial or criminal manner. The local authority will also seek legal remedy if necessary to control the behaviour of individuals who are acting in an antisocial or criminal manner. The Anti-Social Behaviour Crime and Policing Act 2014 allows for applications to be made to a county court for an antisocial behaviour injunction in respect of any person who has engaged in or threatens to engage in antisocial behaviour. An antisocial behaviour injunction is intended as a preventive measure to modify and restrain unacceptable behaviour. If an injunction is made against you, a court may choose to make any order until further notice, which means that the court order may be made indefinitely. If an antisocial behaviour injunction is secured against you, it may include the following prohibitions. This is a non-exhaustive list. Not to engage in conduct likely to cause harassment, alarm or distress, not to contact specified individuals, not to visit specified locations. Your behaviour has been reported to Greater Manchester Police. Due to your behaviour, it has been decided that with immediate effect you are banned from attending all public meetings and on the date of those meetings from entering the public buildings in which they are being held. The ban will be for a period of 12 months in order to ensure you have access to any support services that you may require. You will be assigned a single point of contact for all council business. The point of contact information will be provided to you under a separate cover. You are entitled to appeal against this decision. You should send your appeal in writing to the below address within 14 days of the date of this letter. Now, they've accused people of throwing missiles, actual missiles, and I've been in touch with two of the people who've received these letters. I spoke to them frequently and I asked what was meant by missiles, and this is what one of them said.
Hi, sorry, I've only just got your voicemail. I like to send voicemail easy because it's a lot easier than typing. Somebody threw a hand sanitizer bottle and they arrested him and kept him in the police cells overnight. I don't know if he's been charged. I believe he has, but I'm not 100%. But that's what they mean by a missile, and they accused me of throwing that, which I didn't.
Now, when I was reading about this legislation and I saw the term harassment and distress and those type of words being used, I was not surprised. Now, harassment, alarm and distress are absolutely loved by those who write the legislation, because obviously their ordinary definitions are quite broad anyway, and then they're further broadened via the interpretation of the court. You will often see the police using legislation that uses the terms harassment, alarm and distress to arrest people for absolutely petty things. So, for example, under the Protection from Harassment Act, a lot of people get arrested under that for petty things such as harassing a police force.
Okay, Ben, all right, it's 1752 with arrest on suspicion of harassment. And the reason for this is you've been arrested on suspicion of harassment against the police by continuing to obtain personal details, social media profiles of serving officers, and operational video footage used to incite anti-police views on a social media platform.
Then there was Crime Bodge, who got arrested for saying no shit to a police officer under the Public Order Act because apparently he caused alarm and distress. This happens very often, so the bar is very low. So if someone's being accused of a crime, especially in these type of situations, and the legislation under which they're being accused of committing some kind of offence uses the words alarm and distress, you can be fairly confident that they haven't actually done anything wrong, and this legislation has been cherry picked for the low bar due to the terms used in the legislation. So guys, that is pretty much the end of the video. It feels a bit weird doing these videos and bringing them to an end like that, because it does not feel like it's truly the end of the video, but I guess really it isn't. This is ongoing and it's happening right now. And I'm going to be covering more of these incidents. I've got interviews planned with various individuals who were actually at the council meeting. I'm covering a demo in Manchester on this topic. My cameraman's going to come up from the south. I'm going to go back to Manchester. And we've also got some content coming up with Crime Bodge, not on the grooming topics, but obviously in relation to police misuse of power. So there is lots of topics to come. If you want to follow me on social media, you can do so below. You can also check out my website, which covers policing and human rights law. It has self-help articles on there and also journalistic content. And if you want to donate, of course, you can do that as well. Every little helps, kind of like Tesco. And there's 2 petitions down there in relation to the grooming. Please check those out. And there's also a fundraiser from an Oldham resident who is fundraising for a project to expose what Oldham Council, Greater Manchester Police, Social Services and the rest have been doing in this situation. So, take care guys. I hope that you have found some use in this video. Please share this. Please spread the word about what's going on, because just because we're talking about it, just because it's in the media, it's still happening right now. It doesn't mean it's stopped. As we speak, Oldham Council, Greater Manchester Police, Social Services, they're still covering up the grooming of girls in our area.